A film that has adventure, intense themes of honor and death, talking animals, and a cum shot that rivals Shinji's in the Evangelion movie. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking about The Green Knight. So last night I went to see a film called The Green Knight, and I honestly haven't been able to stop thinking about it all night and into today. I know this video might not get a lot of attention, as it's not only a movie review but also a review of a lower budget indie A24 film, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, and I do want to get into spoilers, though I'll give a brief overview before I get into them, and I will warn you before I start talking spoilers. The initial premise of this movie brings us to a medieval world during the latter days of King Arthur's court, Arthur himself getting very old and unable to be as physically capable as he once was, though the main character is a guy named Gawain, played by Dave Patel, who is Arthur's nephew and is not particularly a strong-suited warrior. In fact, the film particularly paints him as a very human character, that's what I'll say, and this is entirely within the dark fantasy setting, with a limited budget and yet the cinematography, which I'm sure will get nominated for an Oscar or something, that more than makes up for any lack of spectacle. But I'll get into that in just a moment. But as we exist in a world where magic, mythological creatures, and intense dangers do exist, Gawain is presented as a deeply flawed and average person, full of self-doubt and a lot of fear. And this movie is essentially his rite of passage, or his hero's journey, for him to become a legendary knight and a worthy successor to the throne. But put up against the fantasy elements and embarking on the journey, he displays just about the opposite experience as you would expect him to have, all the while having an entire movie feeling like some bizarre lucid dream-like experience, or maybe more like a nightmare. Moments that could be a dream or within his mind, or maybe they were all real, or maybe the pressure of the journey weighing so much on his shoulders constantly drifts him between real and imagination. In the beginning of the film, during a session at the round table, this gigantic motherfucker called the Green Knight just burst into the room. This character is absolutely dope as all hell. He's like a 7-foot tall creature made out of earth, grass, and bark, and each time he moves, his body cracks and bends like the bark of a tree beneath his armor, and the sound design for him is absolutely incredible. They present him to be super intimidating, and it absolutely works on all levels. And he offers a game to the knights, saying that they can try to land a single blow on him, and if they succeed, in 1 year's time they must find him again, and he will return the blow back to them. Without spoilers, just to give you an idea of the plot, Dave Patel's character is able to hit him, and 1 year later his journey begins to find the Green Knight once more and face him for real. So yeah, the only other thing I can really talk about without spoilers is that this is definitely a movie that is more on the artsy and symbolic side of the spectrum. Do not expect any epic battles or wars with dragons or anything on that level of physical intensity. This is more of an internal movie about this character trying to find a sense of bravery and honor within himself, and like I said, the whole movie feels like some sort of rite of passage for him. A coming of age, or maybe to prove one's worth. Also, with the atmosphere, the music, and the look of the film, it really puts you into this fever dream-like feeling that leaves you questioning a lot of what you saw and leaves the audience to piece together what the film was actually trying to say. And I think I know, and I'm going to explain my thoughts to you. I haven't read or watched any other reviews, and I have no idea what actually the director had intended or any of the themes that maybe have been spoken about for the movie, but regardless, here is what I got out of it. So I think the main themes of the story are honor, guilt, insecurity, and what it means to be a knight. So the spoiler portion of the round table scene is that the Green Knight willingly bows and allows Gawain to lop off his head, making Gawain believe that he had defeated the challenger, and yet the Green Knight is able to stand back up, grab his severed head, and leave the room, opening up the rematch and challenge for 1 year's time. I talked about the feeling of a rite of passage, and I don't know what other people felt, but to me, I feel like this entire event was specifically to give Gawain a chance to prove his worth in the eyes of the court and in society. But this is where the movie showcases a very human example of someone who wants to be regarded as a hero, because we think of heroes that face these epic battles and behead the monster. Gawain could have inflicted any blow to the Green Knight, but he opted to kill it by decapitation. He could have just nicked him on the cheek or done a shallow stab, but he went for the kill. He went to be heroic. But is killing a submitting foe heroic at all, whether they're human or not? And since the Green Knight did not die, Gawain had to venture out to face him again 1 year later. Now, I know this movie is based on a poem, but I don't know it, so I'm only giving my thoughts on the film itself and not the original story. But what I can imagine is happening is that this is taking an alternative look at the hero's journey, something that is meant to turn an aspiring boy into a man, into a legend, the turning point that gives him the status and clout and leadership qualities that would make him admirable and, a king. When he comes back from the journey, he's supposed to be a changed man, and this movie pokes fun at the idea and shows us that a journey is just that. It's just a journey. It's not that special. Gawain is attacked by thieves, and instead of being able to fend them off, all of his shit is stolen and he's left tied up helpless. There are many scenes of him just walking, and that's it. There's nothing special about it, he's just walking. There's a moment where he is seduced by a woman and he is unable to resist and maintain loyalty to the woman he had back home, which is not exactly a knightly quality. Oh, and yeah, everyone's going to talk about the cum scene, so we may as well just mention it here. Basically, a house that he finds refuge in has a woman that attempts to seduce him, and she is also played by the same actress that plays his woman from back home, and I'm not really sure the reasoning behind that. Maybe just to let us know that he finds that comfort and similarity between them, or maybe just because Alicia Vikander is super attractive, so why not use her twice? I don't know. Anyway, I think she whacks him off, and there's a shot of this ribbon he carried with him, for luck, covered in cum. Kinda to me, and again, I'm just spitballing here, but I kind of feel like it shows how unspecial it actually is. An item meant for comfort and protection, literally drenched in the shame of his cum shot. Now, I may be way off base with that, but that's kind of what I got out of his Shinji moment. There are also other scenes that I didn't understand, like when he encounters the giants. I don't know if they were supposed to be real or an imagination, and also the fox that followed him around. I don't know what the symbolism of foxes are, and I don't want to look it up and pretend that I'm smart for this review, so I'm just going to say that I literally do not know. I'm just assuming that it was his spirit animal and it represents some side of him. I will look up what foxes mean in fictional stories after I'm done with this review. But let's talk about that ending, because that's what everyone's going to be talking about. When he re-encounters the Green Knight, the situation was that the knight would return the same blow that he was given, meaning that Gawain would need to have his head chopped off. And being a human, I don't think he would survive that. So it was meant to be a display of honor. Would he hold true to his word that was agreed upon, or try to fight against it? And a man's word is his bond. It's all he really has to show his faith and loyalty. This is common sense of what honor means. If you say or agree to something, you must follow through with it no matter the cost, even if that means one's own death. Meditation on inevitable death is something that all warriors must do, to fully know and accept the fact that you will die someday and that you cannot change that. It's a way to ease into the calm when going into battle, accept that it's not up to you when you will die, but fight as hard as you can without the fear of dying. And even look at the Green Knight. He's made of earth and dirt and the green, the place where all dead things end up. There's even a scene earlier on a battlefield where a boy is saying there's no need to bury the bodies because the earth will do its natural process anyway. The Green Knight himself is that embodiment of impending death, that eventual meeting with the ground and with the earth. And the film goes into an extensive look at a possible future with Gawain backs out and runs away from the knight in fear of his own life. He comes back to the kingdom and is regarded a hero and knighted, but deep down he knows that he did not earn it, he does not deserve it, and so he becomes associated with the darker aspects of himself, and as he continues through his life, everything begins to fall apart. It looks like he eventually became the king, and then he took his child away from the girl, which I'm assuming is because she was not royal blood and she was a peasant, and that he wouldn't be able to have a child with her, I think. Anyway, the montage seemed like it made him more and more detached, constantly rising, and yet knowing that he didn't deserve any of it. And with that, in turn, it turned him darker to try to justify himself as a ruler. It's as if this journey should have made him great, but he was still just him. And in the end, his kingdom fell apart, and he died of beheading, the same way that he would have died against the Green Knight. So he wouldn't have achieved anything other than just delaying the inevitable. And that brings back the idea of accepting death. When it happens is not in our control, but we can face it with dignity, and we flash back to the Green Knight about to swing the axe, and I feel like that was his life flashing before his eyes and realizing that he had continuously failed what this quest was supposed to be, and he finally decides to let the axe swing, honoring his word of accepting the original challenge. After that it cuts, and we don't know if the Green Knight really swung the axe or not. I would like to think that this was the ultimate test and that Gawain survived, but the last line of the movie is off with your head. But either way, he did pass the final test. So, at the very least, those are my thoughts and feelings about the film. I actually really enjoyed it, and I would love to watch it again and try to pick up on more things that I missed the first time through. I may be completely off base with what I'm talking about, but I've been thinking about this movie all day, and I really did enjoy some of the anti-hero's journey story. I love when you take something within a genre and sort of just make it your own or do your own spin with it. If you decide to watch the movie, and I just spoiled all of it for you, but just know what you're getting into when watching this movie. It is a very bizarre, dreamlike, and very condensed story. But other than that, guys, let me know if you've seen The Green Knight. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was pretentious? Or did you find it very artistic and intriguing? Let me know all that in the comments below. Also, please like this video and comment, because I'm sure this video is not going to do that well, but I really enjoyed this movie. So if you like this review and you like this video, please let me know. Like it, comment it, share it. Like it, comment on it, share it. I would really appreciate it. It helps me out, it helps out the channel. Thanks a lot for watching this video, guys. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you next time.